All right, let's jump right in. Did you know that your income, well, it has this secret little rule it uses to basically control your entire shopping list? It's kind of wild, but there's this predictable pattern that decides whether you buy more of something or maybe less, all depending on how your finances are looking.
So today we're going to pull back the curtain on this really fundamental economic principle. And you know what's great is that it's a surprisingly simple idea, but it explains so much. Everything from our own, personal spending habits all the way up to the health of the entire economy.
So, let me ask you this. Just imagine for a second, you got a huge raise at work. What's the very first thing you'd buy? Seriously, think about it. Is it a new car? Maybe more dinners out at that fancy restaurant you love? Or maybe you'd finally upgrade your phone? Whatever your answer is, it actually reveals something fascinating about the economic choices you're making literally every single day. And here's the thing. It turns out economists have a way of sorting pretty much everything we buy into two basic categories. And it's all based on that exact question we just asked. How does our demand for something change when our income changes?
Okay, and here's the rule. Boiled down. It's super simple. For what we call normal goods, as your income goes up, well, your demand for them goes up too. Makes sense, right? But then there are inferior goods, and this is where it gets weird. The more money you make, the less you buy of them. Yeah, you heard that right. So let's dig into what on earth that actually means.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the one that's super intuitive. This is the category of stuff that, we all dream about buying more of the second we get a pay bump.
This is what economists call a normal good. The key thing to remember is that there's this direct relationship. More income equals more demand. They move in the same direction. It's the one we all just kind of get, naturally. And you see this shift in action all the time, right? Maybe you start buying the brand name clothes instead of the cheaper alternatives. You treat yourself to a nice meal out instead of cooking at home. Or hey, you finally trade in that old clunker for a new car. These are all just classic textbook examples of normal goods. So yeah, it really just boils down to this. When your income rises, you either start buying more of the things you like, or you start buying better versions of them. Simple as that. That's a normal good in a nutshell. All right, now for the other side of the coin, and this is where things get a little counterintuitive. I mean, think about it. What kind of product would you actually buy less of just because you have more money? Well, this is an inferior good. And here, the relationship is totally flipped. It's inverse. As your income grows, your demand for these things actually shrinks. But wait a second. Before you get the wrong idea, that name, inferior, it's honestly pretty misleading.
And this is probably the most important thing to get right. Inferior here is just an economic term. It's not a judgment on the product's quality. It doesn't mean the product is junk or bad. It just means it's a cheaper alternative, something you're probably happy to replace once you can afford the upgrade.
Just think about it in your own life. You get that big pay raise, and suddenly you might stop buying the supermarket's value brand stuff. Or maybe you finally buy a car and stop taking the bus everywhere. You might start taking a taxi instead. All those things that you kind of leave behind as you move up, those are your inferior goods. Okay, so we've got these two nice, neat little boxes, normal and inferior. But of course, the real world is never that simple. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because here's the crucial twist. These labels, they're not permanent. A product isn't just born normal or inferior. It all depends on who's doing the buying. It's all about perspective. And this example just nails it. Think about instant noodles. For a student on a super tight budget, getting a little extra cash to buy more instant noodles, that's a good thing. It's a normal good for them. But now picture a high-income professional. They're probably only buying those noodles when there's literally nothing else in the house. For them, it's an inferior good. It's the exact same product, but it exists in two totally different economic realities.
And it's not just about income either. Our values and, culture add this whole other layer. Take secondhand clothing. For one person, it's what you buy when you can't afford new stuff, so an inferior good. But for someone else, it's a cool, fashionable, sustainable choice they make on purpose no matter how much money they have. For them, it's a normal good. So you see how the lines can get really blurry.
Okay, so this is a super interesting way to think about our own shopping habits, for sure. But why does it matter on a larger scale? Well, it turns out this simple little concept has absolutely massive real-world consequences.
I mean, businesses and even governments track these trends obsessively. If you're a company that sells luxury cars, you need to know if people's incomes are going up. And if you're a discount retailer, you need to know if people are starting to feel that financial squeeze. It's all about trying to predict what we as a group are going to do next.
And here's the real big picture. When the economy is booming, everyone feels good about their jobs, and sales of normal goods, new cars, branded stuff, they just skyrocket. But what happens during a recession? Who does well then? It's the companies selling inferior goods. In fact, a sudden jump in sales at discount stores can be like an early warning bell that the economy is heading for trouble.
So really, it all comes down to this. Every single time you choose, say, the branded coffee over the cheaper store brand, you are casting a small economic vote. You're sending out this tiny little signal that, when you add it up with the signals from millions of other people, tells a massive story about where the entire economy is headed.
So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you're at the grocery store, or even just making a shopping list, just pause for a second. Look at what's in your cart. What are your normal goods? And what are your inferior goods? Because your wallet has a story to tell, and it's not just about you, it's about all of us.